Hello and welcome to The Actor and the Engineer. My name is Paul James. I am the actor.
And I'm Josh Knapp. I'm the broadcast engineer.
Here we go, Josh. Just as soon as I said that, I realized my glasses are dirty. It's always something, isn't it?
It's just good we're here, man. We've got Steven Spielberg, who's God knows how old, making movies, and I was excited. I was excited to see his newest movie. And it's been kind of a while since, I think his last one was Fabelmans in 2022. So yeah, I was kind of wondering if it makes sense that he's slowing down, but I was kind of wondering what he was going to do next. And the fact that he did an original story of his own and also went back to the alien well, I think is interesting. So the trailer was like, okay, it didn't like give out too much of information. So I was excited going into it. How about you?
I was very excited going into it. And he's 80. Yeah. I just looked it up. So
wow. Amazing.
Yes, Clint Eastwood didn't slow down.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know what he's made recently, but I
don't
Cry
know. Macho, wasn't that the last one? Something like that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't see it. But.
Yeah, I think this movie probably took a lot of prep, a lot of pre-production, and a lot of thought. Obviously, they wrote a script. I was super excited. I liked the trailer. I was intrigued. It's what haunted me until I got into the theater.
Yeah. And then you got into the theater.
Yeah. Whenever we say we've got to start with positives, the rest is coming. And I just want to state for the record, I love Spielberg. I love
Me too.
Most of the stuff that he's done, if not all of the stuff that he's done. Fabelmans wasn't a huge, it didn't resonate with me on a huge level, but
I liked it.
Yeah, I know. And I get why people liked it. And I like the performances, Michelle Williams and Judd Hirsch, 40-year Oscar nomination in between for one speech. I love stuff like that. And I think the movie had value and weight, and I just didn't connect to it. I don't think it was the movie per se. I think I just didn't connect to it. And, that's not his obligation to make people connect to it. He puts it out there and we connect or we don't. Now, West Side Story, a whole nother story. I mean, that blew me away. I think it was in my top 10. I couldn't shut up about Mike Feist. Ariana DeBose won the Oscar, deservedly so. It just shot extremely well. We talked about some of the lighting. And that's where I would start with this. Some of the lighting is spectacular. The cinematography is spectacular in this film.
It's the same guy who he's been using for forever.
Kaminski?
Janusz Kaminski. Yeah. So Janusz Kaminski is the man. I mean, he's the one who kind of like at least got me to look into shutter angle, which is like, do you remember the beginning of Saving Private Ryan on the beach at D-Day, and like things looked hyper, like there was no motion blur, and that's what, and he used a low shutter angle, and so that's what it is essentially like reducing or eliminating the motion blur, which it made it feel different. And so those are the types of things that, not just Janusz Kaminski, other cinematographers did that too, but like, it seems like Spielberg like picks his horse and sticks with it. And he's done that with Kaminski. He did that with his editor, who this is the first time that his previous editor hasn't edited. I mean, he kind of, hung up his spurs, but the editor of this movie, it's her first time. Sarah Brochard is her name. And she's been an apprentice, essentially, or assistant editor for Spielberg's previous editor for, a decade and a half, so it's really cool that he kind of like sticks with the people that he, and I think it was edited well. I mean, for what it was, my issues with it were not, it didn't have anything to do with the editing or with the lighting or with anything like that. It was mainly just like the story, number one. I mean, just the premise, and I think that the way that it was enacted was good, and there really wasn't a better way to do it with the subject that they had. We can get into it a little later on, but I think that the thing that really took me out of it the most, and I hate to say this because, my God, John Williams is probably the greatest. He's the greatest composer that's alive today for film scores, but this score sucked. It just was not good. And the whole time I was in the movie, I was just like, I hope to God this is not a John Williams. Like, I didn't think it was, because he's, 90-something years old too. So, I was like, whoever he picked to do a score just didn't have it, no big deal. You get up, you dust yourself off, you move on. But it was John Williams. So I don't know. That was rough. It really did take, because I mean, those are some of the things that you remember. They are iconic. Like, scores for Steven Spielberg movies are iconic.
Yeah.
Just period.
You almost hear them every time you see the E.T. Is it Gamblin?
Yeah.
Amblin.
Amblin
I always
logo,
want to say
yeah.
Gamblin because I think that looks like a G when he hits the
when
moon.
he's in the
Amblin. But when you can almost hear it, like the music at that point.
Just pick a movie. I mean, like, all obviously, Close Encounters, Jurassic Park, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Pick a movie. Jaws, obviously, but you even like Saving Private Ryan. Even Catch Me If You Can. I mean,
yeah, I love that.
I immediately know you hear like 3 notes and you're like, oh, that's Catch Me If You Can. And that's not even one of his most famous movies. So I don't know, that's the part that just, it bugged me, and I felt so bad afterwards. But those were the big kind of like downers for me. But as far as like the weaving in of humor, and I feel like David Koepp did a really good job, because he was a screen nerd on this, and I think that he tried to like give it a bit of life when there were definitely times when there wasn't much life on the screen. So that was rough. But Emily Blunt was great. Like, everybody was great. Colman Domingo was great. Josh O'Connor was great. And then Eve Hewson too was good. I never remember her. Like, I see her and I recognize her, and I never remember that that's Eve Hewson. So
What have you seen her in?
The one movie that she was in, because she's kind of like Jay Kelly. She was in Jay Kelly, and I didn't. And I saw the trailer for Florence on a bunch when it came out, but and then I've seen Bad Sisters too. I've seen a few episodes of that show, and it just never really clicked for me that she is. I mean, it's kind of like Sienna Miller. It's actually not a dig. It's kind of a compliment. It's kind of like she is whatever she needs to be, as opposed to some sort of iconic somebody who you can't get away from, being that person. So,
and we've talked about whose daughter she is, right?
Oh, yes, it's Bono's daughter. Okay. So yeah. No,
as soon as you know it, as soon as I say it to people, they're like, "Oh my God, they look exactly alike."
Like, I see it.
The interesting thing is her mother is famously brown-eyed because of a song. She's not famous because of the song. She's not famous. She has brown eyes, and the song is famous about pointing out that she has brown eyes. And he has blue eyes, the kind of blue eyes Eve has. And so when she was switching back and forth in this movie, I was like, oh, she looks like her mother. Oh, she looks like her dad. Oh, she looks like her mother. Yes. And I was like, yeah, that's not something you should be concentrating on, I think.
Well,
although that sequence and that idea of them sitting at the table and then later on in the hotel room and all that other stuff that she has to go through is some of the most interesting stuff in the beginning of this film, because it is different than the other 45 minutes of this movie. In the fact that it's the exact same thing for 45 minutes. From the time let me state for the record, I like her. I think she's intriguing. She has something. I'm captivated by her ability. She needs the right role in order to click. She doesn't 100% click for me. I think she's convincing and believable in most of the stuff that she does. There were a few times I was like, I'm not exactly sure what she's thinking and feeling, which could be purposeful. And I could have been drifting away because that happened a few times. I just wish they were brother and sister instead of boyfriend, girlfriend, because they had little to no interaction as boyfriend and girlfriend. And I didn't see any chemistry that made me, I kept forgetting they were boyfriend and girlfriend. I was like, why are they sleeping in separate beds? Oh, well, is that because she might do something weird? Or, it just seemed like they weren't a boyfriend-girlfriend situation. And I think the stakes would have been different if it was his sister, because then when he becomes essentially Emily Blunt's, spoiler alert, not that this will make sense to anybody who hasn't seen the film, he eventually becomes her brother, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, her pair, they're paired, they're tied, yeah.
Which I know we're jumping to the end, but why are they 10 years apart in chronological age, but then when you see them at the end of the film, they look exactly the same age?
They weren't. You mean as kids? I think that Emily Blunt is playing 10 years younger than she is, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, I do, because when you like just first of all, this movie has a meteorologist, or at least a weathercaster. I don't know if she's a licensed meteorologist or whatever, but the movie itself was fun to watch for me in a lot of ways, because it's a TV station. You know, a TV station plays a prominent part in a lot of that. I mean, they have the same teleprompters that we do at our station, so it's stuff like that. You know, and it's like, oh, how are they going to deal with this? What are they going to, all of that. The Kansas City, they don't have people putting makeup on them. They just don't. I mean, it's the funny part to me is like there's all these like little things that are not realistic, but it's fine.
Do you guys?
No, they put on their own makeup. Yeah. I mean, you're talking top 5 markets maybe have, like, I would say New York, LA, Chicago. Oh, probably not even like Dallas would. I mean, Philly maybe, but probably not. I don't think Philly would have actual on-staff makeup artists or makeup people.
So you bypassed it. So Josh O'Connor and Emily Blunt are playing the same age?
I think so. I mean, yeah, I think that they were both 10 years old when the incident happened.
She doesn't look older per se, but they don't look like they're the same age. He looks younger than she does throughout the whole entire movie.
Yeah, I started all that to say
Not
that like
that's a big deal, but
where she is in her career, she's moving up quickly in her career, and she's in a market where she is. If she keeps moving like that, then she's a younger person in the industry to the point where, like, if she was whatever 40 years old, then she probably would have like been somewhere for a little while, or been the main meteorologist or the main weathercaster. And so she's still she just got to Kansas City like I don't know, a year before or something. So that's anyway, those are little things that it may mean something, may not mean something. But for me, I kind of I read into all that stuff, and I said, oh well, then I can tell that she's playing. And Wyatt Russell's her boyfriend, so I mean probably, I don't know, 10 years younger than her, or 8 years younger than her, something like that. So they probably tried to play it where they were the same age, or they were close to the same age. So,
it doesn't read that way, though. It just doesn't. And this sounds superficial to even talk about. I'm not trying to say that she looks old. She looks great. She was great. There was a little affectation to her voice that was interesting. It took a second to get used to, but once I did, I was like, oh, she's fluctuating between her media voice and her regular voice, and she hasn't learned how to sound like herself in the media. So whenever she gets into these stressful situations, which is what might happen when she gets on TV, that in these situations, so if that was a choice, it's a brilliant choice. But yeah, I thought she was great. I think they should have brought her in quicker, though. It seemed like they took a minute to get to her. And probably it wasn't. It just maybe seemed like it was.
Well, all the building blocks are there, I think, for a good movie. But I think, like you said earlier, the story really goes downhill once you find out what the hell's going on. And I think there could potentially be a way to have a more of a mystery for longer, and then have a bigger payoff maybe. But really, it boils down to, the movie's not about aliens. The movie's about interpersonal relationships and communities, and just like society. And so that's a big topic. And now we're looking at it from this particular angle. And then it's like, you don't even really get into the government, or, I mean, they obfuscate that by having this company, they're the ones in charge of the alien technology. And so now, the government's not necessarily like right up on them. And it seems harder to, you're right. The stakes just seem like they're off. It's hard to know who we're supposed to be caring about. And it's hard to know like what the worst thing that's going to happen is. Is it that people are going to start spontaneously combusting? Is it that the aliens are going to come back? Like, I need to know what I'm afraid of, and maybe Spielberg is saying, like, you're not supposed to be afraid of anything. You're just supposed to take this information, ingest it, and live your life, whether there's aliens or not. And I think that maybe that's what he was going for, but It's hard to tell from this movie, especially since it had to have those set pieces. You know, you have to have the train scene. You have to have all of the things of a Steven Spielberg movie, and they have to hit at a certain time within the time frame of the movie, whether you feel like it needs it or not. And so that was kind of hard for me because you get to see a little bit of the sausage making, and that's rough.
A little bit.
Well,
yeah, you can see behind the curtain in this movie a lot. And I was trying to figure out, now I can't remember if I was figuring this out during the movie, which is not a good sign, or if I was thinking about it later on. I can't really remember, but I was trying to figure out if the motion or the movement or the pacing was better and it was more intriguing and more engrossing. Would I have noticed these small little things like the car and the train look like a stunt? It didn't look like it was actually happening. It did. It's just, the thing is that there seems to be 3 or 4 more minutes added to everything that if he had just taken it out, it would have made more sense. Example. So they're on the hood of the car, right? And the stakes are to get off the car, obviously, because the car is trapped on the train. Okay, so they got to grab for the gate or for the ladder. Mm-hmm. And then he grabs for the ladder and he misses. She falls first time. Then the other train starts to come. Okay. He grabs for the ladder. He has a hold of the ladder. She goes to grab him. She falls again and goes over the hood of the car and looks down. Great shot. Mm-hmm. Then it happens again. She falls again. And it might even happen a 4th time. She falls again before, right at the nick of time, they get onto the ladder. And I'm not a filmmaker. I would never tell Spielberg what to do. I just kept thinking to myself, if he had just done the 2 falls, her looking over the edge, seeing the train, grabbing, boom, going, it would have been like boom, boom, boom. Up to that point, it was very exciting. And then it became very much like Universal City Ride.
Stunt spectacular.
Yeah, stunt spectacular. Yeah. Or, like one of those 3D motion rides that you sit in the car and, have the big screen in front of you. There were a few times a lot of that stuff happened. And then my brother and I were talking about this, and he pointed a lot of this out, by the way. So I didn't disagree, but if anybody's bashing on Spielberg, it's not me.
No, okay.
I've never understood the logic behind some filmmakers' ideas, not necessarily Spielberg, but we've talked about this before when it comes to nudity in a sex scene. And there are just certain body parts that are completely covered when they wouldn't naturally be covered, or the knee is up covering stuff. And it just doesn't look natural. It happens a lot in movies where somebody is parked down the road from a house that they're watching, and people come out of the house and they never see the car. They never look up. They never look into the other car. They never see the people sitting there. When you come out of your house, don't you look all around, and don't you notice your surroundings? And if there was a car parked down the street all by itself that isn't traditionally there, you might notice it, right? Now, some filmmakers will have the person notice it and the people will duck. Okay, that's good. So when he is running through the field to go and get her out of the farmhouse,
he's just all over the place.
Well, It's not that he's all over the place. It's that he is all over the place, but he's running and he's kind of crouched down as he's running. And then you're like, oh, there's going to be something protecting him from the view of the people who've come for him.
Yes.
That just showed up to investigate something. They've come for him. And they're all looking towards the house. No one is looking the other direction. And she says he's in the field. She says that.
Oh, to Colin Firth. Yeah.
She says that. And so in an audience mind, the stakes are high because he's in the field. So they would be all over the field. So why not a brick wall? Or why not a wall that had a bush?
I know why. It's because I didn't even think about any of that because I was just eating up the shot that they had. It was like, I think it was a crane shot, but it was probably a mixture of Steadicam and crane together, where it was like he comes up on a fence and then has some fence posts and stuff, and then he's on one side, and then the camera you can tell when it cuts to, more of like a close up of him next to the fence post. And then it ends up like going around him and then following on the other side of the fence while he walks along the fence. And then it comes through the slats of the fence and then goes, on the other side of him so you can see what he's seeing. I mean, it's such a cool shot. And when I saw that shot, I was like, oh man, this is like, and it's done for a purpose. Like, it's not done because it's like, oh, it's a cool shot. It's done because it's like, we need to be able to see, we want to be intimate with where he's at in that moment, get the tension rising, but then also then figure out like how he moves, like move in the same stealthy way that he moves. And then also at the end of that kind of frame up like what he's up against. Like all of that is driven by the plot and it's driven by the character. And like, those are the shots that Steven Spielberg does that it's hard to find anybody else who can do them any better. And so I got super jazzed about that. And I think it happens a couple other times, but I started to get in my head about the plot as the movie went on. And then, it was harder for me to find those shots.
But the point is, it's a great shot. Absolutely. But it's not logical. They never turn around. You can see him exposed completely. There's like little tumbleweed looking bushes underneath. You can see right through. And then it's a great shot. I agree with you 100%. There's a lot of great shots in this film, but I kept forgetting about them because I kept thinking about other stuff that didn't logically make sense to me. There are a few that are really beautiful. There's one in the car where Emily Blunt's character is reflected in the front window. I can't really remember the shot, but it's beautiful. So you have that illogical, great shot. Then he walks around the back of the fence and comes up behind them while they're all kind of just standing looking the other way. Yeah. And so he was able to steal a car, break into the farmhouse, get her out, all before all of these people did what they came to do. It just didn't logically make sense. I loved seeing the car go through the building. Yeah, that was cool. Great. Yeah, that was great. And I believed the stakes were high that he needed to rescue her. I believed all of that. But, because I'm on this tangent, things have to logically make sense in order for you to buy into them. And when they first go on the lam, he goes, we can't go to anywhere we know or any hotels.
And they go to a hotel.
Then they go to the hotel. The next thing they do is go to the hotel. Yep. Now, the scene with, who is the nun? What's her name?
Elizabeth Marvel.
Yeah, she's
Sister
great.
Mora.
Yeah.
I saw her in House of Cards. I think she was in House of Cards. She played like one of the politicians.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And she's been in a ton of stuff. She's quite good. And, after her reaction of seeing what everybody sees at the end of the film, or what all the stuff that they see, she has this satisfaction of, yep, I pretty much knew that was what was happening. And her storyline seemed to be more intriguing to me than most of the other stuff that was going on in the film. If not her storyline in this movie, but her backstory to why she bought into all of that stuff. And so it would have been nice to have really delved into the theme of God versus, are there aliens and what we do with that information. A lot of the themes were really strong and deep, but they were very surfaced. The whole idea of the world coming to an end even before we find out about the aliens. And I guess you're assuming at the end of the movie that it all works out, but obviously we don't really know. And it just seemed like, did we need that? And if we did, how come that wasn't dug into a little bit more? And maybe it's because I might have checked out at some point.
I feel like at the end is the whole point of the whole movie. And in my opinion, because they spend, like you said, 45 minutes doing it, which is, we already said spoilers before, but there's the two camps of like, the world as a whole and these nation states as governments, and they can't control their people to the point where if they're told that there are aliens, then there will be bedlam. And it's just kind of like there's half of the people, the quote unquote bad guys or whatever, think that the humans don't have the capacity to accept the fact that we're not alone in the universe. But then, Steven Spielberg obviously thinks different, and sunlight is the best astringent or whatever. And it's not even that. It's not like it's ultimately like the more information you have, the better equipped you can be to process, your life. And it can be eye-opening to a lot of people. And that was the sister more, they have her do that, I think, because it's counterintuitive. It's something you might think that would be the opposite, where it's like, oh, well, God made us and then that's it. Couldn't have made anything that was equivalent to us. And then but that right there is reductive when it comes to God, in my opinion. And also in her opinion too. It's kind of like, why would this all happen and be like this if there wasn't a possibility, at the very least, that there are other like beings out there. But that was it's like a short story. I mean, it's like a really good short story. And it it was 2 hours and 40 minutes long or whatever.
Was it that long?
225. But yeah, so I mean it did feel, the end felt long.
Since I'm in it, the beginning felt long too. What in the first 45 minutes of that film happens that doesn't happen 4 or 5 times over, with the exception of introducing Emily Blunt's character, which happens a little bit longer after I thought it should. Yep. It is Josh Charles. I will say
no,
this.
Not Josh Charles.
Josh O'Connor. I knew I was going to do that. I love the cold opening in the beginning. The beginning is like the middle. I love that. And you're like, what's going on with this thing? And then they get away, then they go someplace, and then they have to get away from there. Then they go someplace and they have to get away from the house with all of the computer generated animals. Then they go to the hotel and they get away. Did they get caught at the hotel?
No, I mean, yes, he did, but she got away with the thing, the kind of like, the shape thing. I think that I can see kind of where you're leaning towards with and I've seen other discourse on this where it's kind of like, why? Okay, there's aliens. Why did they have to look like the fake aliens from the 50s or what? Like that whole trope. Like, why did Steven Spielberg lean into that trope versus going the other way, versus coming up with something wholly different? And to me, I think that was really the only way for this to work, because it's based in that something did happen in the 50s and Area 51 was a thing, and anything, like, first of all, like, there's no way that would have been able to be kept a secret, for 70 years, whatever. So I just don't, that doesn't make sense to me. But let's say it was able to, like, people were able to keep it quiet to a certain extent. Certain things would have leaked out, and some of those things would have been, this is what the aliens look like. That to me adds credence to the fact that this is a possibility versus, coming up with something wholly original as far as like what they look like or how they communicate or, what the point was or all that stuff. Really, the biggest thing that he added in there was that we were mean to the aliens, like we abused the aliens. That was the biggest thing. We treated them as science experiments versus creatures, like sentient beings. We treated them like lab rats. So that was the linchpin for the conflict there, and the conflict between, Colman Domingo being a part of it and then getting to the point where he couldn't be a part of it anymore versus Colin Firth, who was on board completely.
So I'm just a tad bit confused what we were talking about at the beginning being repetitive, and then you jumped into the aliens looking normally.
It was the same thing over and over again, and it was also rote alien movie.
Okay.
Mars Attacks, basically.
Which is what the last one looks like.
Well, Which is what, The Last Alien? What do you mean?
Yeah, with the big
Oh yeah,
head.
yes,
Yeah.
of course. That's what
Yeah.
all the aliens, even the video of that
But
that
they were all
released.
tiny looking. This one was big
Oh,
with a big head.
yeah. Well,
The
yeah.
shower
I mean,
curtain one.
maybe it was grown. Like maybe the ones that crash landed were young and then they've grown or something. I don't know, but maybe that's the one from the 1950s. I don't know.
I think that's it. I think that's what they were alluding
The
to.
original one. Okay,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
because there were multiples, I thought. But anyway, so I would have had a problem if it went the other way. But but that still
Well, it would have
didn't, like,
taken
save
too
it from-
much. It would have been too hard to explain why they don't look like we're expecting. We have an idea of what they look like based on what we've supposedly seen from Area 51.
Yeah.
And
But from a scientific,
his other movies too.
exactly, yes. But from a scientific, like if we're just doing science and have nothing and nothing has anything to do with Steven Spielberg movies, then the chances of aliens being humanoid like that, I mean, having two legs, walking upright, having two arms, like having a head at the top of their body, like
Right.
breathing in and out, like all of that stuff, like doesn't make sense.
Right.
It's I don't know. It just seems that seems reductive to me, but it's fine for a movie. It's a movie. It's okay. I don't have a problem with it. Like it serves the story in the way that it needs to serve the story, which is good. But it had one point. The movie had one point, and it really tried to work hard to make that one point.
Which was what?
Which was just that, like, I think humans have the capacity to understand and to be shown that there are other life forms. The problem is this movie is like 10 years too late, because if you would have done exactly what they did at the end of that movie 10 years ago, there would be no question that this is real. You do that today, it doesn't matter what video you put on TV, anybody's going to say that it's AI.
Yeah.
If they don't like it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
I read something about that too.
This movie should have been made 10 years ago. I don't know if we had the idea for it 10 years ago, but it's too late. I mean, it's too late to be set in a contemporary time.
Absolutely. And also there's a lot of stuff you have to buy into at the end, that he's going to take over that control room and he's going to do everything.
Gosh, that's not even how how video servers work.
Yeah.
In television stations. It doesn't make sense. It's dumb, but it's fine.
And you know what? It's a movie. I can dig on that. But I will say this, because I got a feeling we're ending this sooner than later, because 35 minutes of bagging on Steven Spielberg movie.
I liked some things.
I was getting ready to end with what I liked the most. The sequence when they get captured, or when they get brought into the ship, which looks like a house, and the animals are the aliens, and then that spinning thing that becomes the Cardinal Mobile later on. I liked all of that. I liked the fact that the animals I didn't like the way the animals looked, but I liked that whole sequence. I liked the whole idea that they brought these two together, and these two had a meaning in their existence because of that interaction. I liked all of that, and I loved the way that thing spun. I thought that was all extremely well done. So my thought was this, and this is something I was talking with my brother about. And once again, I'm not a filmmaker, and I would never tell Spielberg anything. But I kept thinking to myself, it might have been more interesting for me if we had seen something in the beginning of the film of what was bothering Josh O'Connor and bothering Emily Blunt's character.
Early on in their lives, you mean?
Well, they can't remember what happened to them when they were 10 years old. They're right. You're right. They both say 10, so they are the same age. No, they're not. They're not. And as cliche as it was, or could be, he could have flashes of something, or she could have flashes of something. And you kind of get that a little bit when she gets transfixed by the cardinal. But there should have been flashes of when she was 10 years old and was able to speak different languages, and just doesn't remember that. Something to connect us to the big event at the end. And he didn't want to reveal any of that stuff. I get it. I get what he was doing. It just would have been I don't know, it would have kept me grounded and going, what's going on? Why is he having that? Is that her? Is that his? What, do everybody have these weird memories? Were they picked up by aliens? What? You can ask and answer your own questions, whether or not they come true in a movie or not. And when they do come true, you're like, oh, I knew it. I knew that got picked up by the aliens. Or, oh, I thought they got picked up by the aliens. So it just would have been something to keep me going. The intrigue of them being on the lam and her doing the stuff that she was able to do. Actually, I think they should have started with that stuff.
That's
with
definitely dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah. Her news report being the first thing. That would have been great. Although I did like how the movie started. So anyway.
But I do think that, I mean, it's necessary. The cardinal coming into her window, like that's kind of like the Winter Soldier, passphrase or whatever.
Sure.
It's like it unlocked her. And then we find out after the fact that he was unlocked just way earlier. Yeah. So it's the Manchurian Candidate thing. Yeah. That it's like, oh, we're just waiting to find the right time to, turn him on so that he can get all the math stuff going. And then whatever it is, 8 years later, 6 years, whatever it was, turn her on because now everything is ready and everything is in place. And we're trying to, enact this goal.
Which in essence negates everything I just said, because we not knowing that she got activated or whatever you want to call it, and how she does these things does lead to the intrigue to the end of the film. Okay, never mind. Cancel everything I just said.
No.
Because it does make sense. I've made it make sense. But you do. You do. She speaks different languages. She understands different things. She can read people's minds. She can read people's emotions. And it's intriguing. Why can she do that? So yeah, that makes sense. Those are the little things.
You could still do a flashback though, or what would it be? Flash forward? I guess it'd be like you could do a flash forward at the beginning, and you're like, what the heck? Like, how is she doing all of this? And then, is she an alien? Like, just like all of this stuff, and then you kind of go back to like her just bumbling, trying to get to work or whatever, and then you see that stark difference.
I see why they did what they did, though.
But yeah, it's hard. There's a lot of characters. We haven't even talked about Colin Firth because his character is pretty. It's very mustache twirly, and that's fine. But also at the same time, there's no teeth to it. I mean, he really just kind of like rolls over at the end, and that's it.
Oh well, yep.
I know, and you're just kind of like, oh, that was it. Like you just need Colman Domingo to talk to you for 5 minutes, okay?
It's good to see. Well, he was defeated. There was nothing he could do to change the circumstances.
I mean, he could have went all out and just tried to kill a bunch of people and cover it up. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, but I don't think he was that person. And it was nice to see him play against type. So that was interesting. So
yeah, it was good. Well, I don't know what Spielberg's doing next. I was trying to think, but he's worked with David Koepp a bunch. I mean, Koepp did Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and has done a couple other War of the Worlds. That wasn't bad.
No, I liked it.
Yeah. So, I mean, these guys work together all the time. So I wasn't sure what Steven Spielberg is doing coming up, but it looks like he's got like a TV miniseries and then some other thing going on. So he's still got things in development and producing things, and it looks like directing. He's not ready to hang it up yet, so that's good. I'm excited to see his next movie. I really am. I'm not going to not see his next movie. This is not going to dissuade me from that. So
no, of course not.
Yeah, but all right. Well, you can check us out on the web at actorandengineer.com. You go to facebook.com/actorandengineer. You can find us on YouTube. Just search for the Actor and the Engineer podcast. We'll see you next time.